and welcome to Project Home DIY. I'm Christine, the owner and curator of your Project Home DIY boxes. Let's get started with our January. So you probably already have yours open, ready to go. I'm going to unbox really quickly and share with everybody what would be in our box. So this month, if you're brand new and signed up, you would receive our starter kit, which has essential items in it that you will need. And you will be using all of them for this project. So make sure your glue gun is out and plugged in and ready to go. You'll need a paintbrush, you'll need the sanding block, you'll need all of them. So we have our cotton and lamb's ear floral. We have twine, paint. In our cute jars, we have some wood glue and all the wood pieces. So there should be 2 longer side pieces. These are the top pieces to our sign. A small house, a big house, and the wood backer. And then you have your stencil and your printed paper. So go ahead and you can take those out. How cool is it with all these options this month? So we hear a lot that everybody loves their tiered trays or shelves, and we wanted to create a box for you for some tiered tray or shelving decor. So just some little things that you can fully customize. The possibilities are going to be endless with this box. I gave you a bunch of options for different prints that you like. I gave you a bunch of options for different inspirational words, even a couple that you may not know what they are. And I'm not even going to tell you what they are now because I want you to take the chance and time to look them up, figure them out, see if they fit you and what you want to bring into your home. Because I feel like some of these pieces, home decor kind of becomes just like a stationary piece and nobody really looks at it because it just becomes so plain and just what everybody expects. And so if you put a word on there like metanoia, like what do you think people are going to say? Or is it going to strike up a conversation? So I think that's why I chose to use those type of words because, you know, not many people are going to strike up a conversation about the word believe or family or, you know, just the typical words, but I did include them because I like them too. But I wanted to include something different. So you have lots of options of what to do, what to use, what colors, what paint colors, where to put what, the twine. I mean, there's tons. It's going to be so much fun to see all the variations and all the ways that you guys have created these to be your one-of-a-kind items. So with that being said, this video is going to be a little bit different because I just want to show you guys how to do the different steps rather than like from start to finish of the completion of the whole project. By the end, I will probably be complete with mine, but I just want to show you different things like how to assemble and put together the farmhouse sign, how to use a stencil, how to decoupage paper onto the wood and make it look cool. So I wanted to be able to make sure that you guys have an idea of how to do that, but not necessarily have to follow exact of what I do, but so you can have the freedom to put in your touches. So with all of the pieces that we have, I'm going to start with the wood sign. So this is the farmhouse sign. This is in size 6x8. I'm going to start with the backer piece first, and this is where our quote will go. And I personally am going to choose Beautiful Chaos. And yes, you can cut these stencils. They're made to cut and use what you want. And so you have tons more for projects like Choose Happy and Have Faith. I love that. So mine is going to have Beautiful Chaos. And you can see that these are small. They're meant to be like in the bottom left corner, or you can center it if you choose to do. But these are just supposed to be like simple, clean, small little pieces of joy throughout your home, not clusterful at all. So I wanted to make sure that what we provide you this month does do that. With that, I'm going to paint our backer board just with the white ivory color. So I'm going to open that up, get my paintbrush, and paint that because I want that to dry nicely so I can put the stencil on it. Okay, so the backer board is completely painted over. I'm gonna let that dry and set it to the side. Once this is dry, we can work on putting our stencil on. In the meantime, I will paint the side pieces for our farmhouse sign. Okay, I'm gonna go with the dark gray for the sign sides and the wording. So all sides of this will show, so I want to make sure I paint everything. When you're painting something like this, it gets challenging to hold, but just remember, like, this grainy cut end is a really good place to be able to put your finger once it's painted, because you won't bother the paint on it like you would on the surface of one of the pieces. So that's kind of a nice place to be able to set your finger while you paint all the other sides. So I like to just go around completely. I'm not going to make it perfect because at the end I am going to sand it and make it look worn and rustic a bit. Okay, I have the backer board piece and it's dry, but I do want to make sure that I sand it first because the grain on the board really got pulled up while it was being painted, which happens because of the moisture in the paint. So make sure that you sand it nice and smooth. Or else you will be sad when you paint your stencil on because it will leak through. So make sure that you sand that. Oh, there's my total mess. So sand and sand, make sure that's nice and smooth. If it's not smooth, the paint will bleed underneath. So like I said, I'm going to use the Beautiful Chaos. Make sure your board is cleaned off as well. Now keep in mind, when you put your frames on the side, it will cover up some of your board. So don't go too close with your word or else you'll cover it up. And we don't want that. So make sure that you stay about 1/4 of an inch away. And then one of your stencils will have a straight edge depending on where you cut it out of. So I know that this edge and this edge of my stencil was a factory edge. So if I follow those when putting them on my board, I can make sure that it's straight without having to measure or anything. If you find the stencil is too close to the edge and you want to just be careful, you can take masking tape and cover when you paint. So then you don't have any touch-up you have to do. Kind of nice. So here's our completely clean stenciled area. So again, I'm going to use the dark gray. My paintbrush is a little too big for that paint pot, but your guys's should fit just perfectly. So just go ahead and paint right over that stencil. Give it a nice coat. If you do too much, it could leak too much underneath. And then we're going to peel it all up. And look at that. How beautiful. It is kind of beautiful chaos. Okay, you can either make a choice if you want to make this reusable, save your stencil, and this is when you will need the cookie sheet because you'll soak this little dude right in water and rub all this paint off, and you'll be able to use it again and again. So that is the beauty of these reusable stencils. And they're custom. They're made just for you guys by Project Home. So nobody else will have this stuff. So there is the final fully painted piece for the backer. It's beautiful. I love it. So I'm just going to set that back there. Let it dry a little. And I'm going to let my paintbrush soak. Oh, I should have painted one of my houses first. So, okay. Now we can move on to our houses while the rest of our pieces for the sides are drying. The houses, you can decide if you want to put a stencil word on it, or if you want to cover with a print, whatever is your favorite print, you can do that. And then you can wrap it in twine. You can add the floral to the side of it. There's so many options. So I believe I'm going to use, I will paint this one. And let's see what fits good. Yeah, I'm gonna put that right there. I'm gonna paint it the dark color, and I'm going to paint this light and put this stencil or this paper on it. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. So once I get my paintbrushes ready to go, I'm going to paint my wood houses, and in the meantime, let these dry. Okay, so when we use the Mod Podge and put the paper on the wood, I still like to have the sides and the back of the wood painted. So that's what I'm going to do here, and make sure that it just makes it become part of the paper, kind of, so to speak. Once you put the paper on and sand, it just looks much better with painted sides. So whatever you decoupage on something, your base should probably be painted. It kind of looks a little bit better. You don't have to worry about the surface, of course, but okay, our wood pieces are dried, and I'm just going to give them a quick little sand right on the top before I start. And the top is the surface that's furthest away from the cut. So this is going to be your trough where the sign goes. Okay, now we're going to assemble the sign and put it together. So I'm going to set these pieces out as they would go on the board or on the sign. Take your wood glue and go ahead and squirt some glue down in that trough. Again, it does not have to be much. It does not have to be filled, by no means. Too much will cause it to leak out all over your sign, and you don't want that. And then I'm only going to put, let me see how these go together. put some wood glue right here, here, on the ends of the side pieces. And again, it doesn't have to be very much, just like that, okay? Okay, take your sign, start plugging in pieces. Okay, you can see that my bee in beautiful is pretty close to the side, but I can easily like slide this board over just a tiny bit to make it fit a little better. And now this just needs to sit for a while and let that dry. You can put, here's the tape, masking tape if you want, from this end to this end, kind of make it tight. You don't have to do that, but you totally can. This end to this end. And my sides are flush, so I am good with that. It looks awesome. So I'm going to set that right there to dry. And continue with my home pieces. So this was the piece that we're going to decoupage. So this is kind of our last step, but a fun one. Oh gosh, here comes the decision making. So hard to decide. I think I'm gonna go with this, and I like this fade, so I'm gonna use this bottom. Okay, but you know what else is cool? If I get sick of it, I can change it. I just won't be able to use the piece that I glued down, but I can change it. So that is cool. I'm gonna take that, and then I'm just gonna cut this out roughly to be the same shape. So I'm gonna use the back side, cut it out so it's roughly the same and fits. It doesn't have to be perfect. We'll fix that perfectness in a minute. So take your, again, take your glue, squeeze some out on the surface, and just rub it around and get it nicely covered. You can use Mod Podge if you want. Of course, that's the brand name, Decoupage. But as you can see, a universal like wood glue, any kind of glue will work well. So kind of an all-purpose thing, it will work. You know what else is really super fun? And this is my favorite way to display pictures, but do the same thing with a photograph. It's one of the classiest ways you can display your pictures. And like we made big wood frames for ours, and I just glued the pictures, the actual raw images, right onto the board, and it looks so good. So this guy is down, and just make sure that it's set, and then it will, if it does bubble a little bit, it may, because of the moisture in the glue is making the paper bubble, but that's okay. Just let it do its thing. Once it's dry, that moisture will be gone and it'll go away. But I do like to keep it face down, and even if you have something heavy to stick on it, to set it down face down for a little bit, that works really well. Okay, so we got this drying, we got that drying, we got our little handy dandy glue bottle. We're ready for our last step of the painting. Let me grab this last house. Okay, there's the last house. And I'm going to sand again, because if we use a stencil, we want to make sure that we sand and have a smooth surface. Sanding is like honestly my favorite step, because it brings out so much of the grain of the wood, and I just love the look of that. So I'm going to continue to do a little bit on the sides. get totally dusty doing that, but I'll love it. Okay, so I chose to use one of the fun new words, and you'll have to look them up, see if they fit you in your home. There it is. Again, these are reusable, so reuse them for many more projects. You can even redo these little houses in a couple months if you want. If you find you want something different, switch them up. There's enough stuff here to do it a couple times for sure. I think that would be awesome. Okay, there's that. And I'm going to use a tad bit of our white again. Lots of paint left. Perfect. If you choose to keep the stencil, just make sure you soak it in water right away. I have lots of them, so I'm not going to keep them. But if you want to use it for a future project, definitely get them in water right away. So that is the finished last house. Finished, I say, except for now we can add our fun embellishments. In my mind, now I have these ideas in my mind of what I want to do for you guys' projects, and then they kind of just come together while I'm doing these videos. So it's kind of fun because a lot of them are months of planning, and so this was actually planned back in August, I believe. So now finally when I get to create with you guys, I finally get to put my idea all the way together. I have none of this planned before the video of what I'm going to do what and where I'm going to put what. I just keep going along with it as I'm going, and it's kind of fun to see it all come together. So thanks for bearing with my my last minute ideas and stuff, but my thoughts were with this last piece, either hot glue on the sprig, so it's like this, and then we have our sign, which is probably pretty dry, and then we have our little accent house, which, oh my gosh, I finally get to see all three pieces together. You guys, this is so cool because then I get to, like, these designs. I mean, I just pick and put some designs together, and it's so much fun. So it's fun to see it all come together, and it's even more fun when I get to see you guys take an idea and make it your own. That is just the coolest. So thanks for bearing with me while I celebrate that little moment. But I kind of like the thought of having this sprig attached to the side of the house, and then I was going to wrap it with twine, maybe at an angle to fill this space. So that's my goal with that. But I didn't do what I said I was supposed to do, and I was supposed to plug in my hot glue gun, and here I am looking all around because I don't have hot glue gun plugged in, and someone took my extension cord. So bear with me for a moment while I get that figured out, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, hot glue gun is plugged in. We are back on track. Okay, I'm going to take and sand off the edges of the paper here. So this really creates like a one complete piece. It really finishes it off. I do even suggest doing this if you use a photograph. It just makes the piece become one with the wood. It's really kind of a cool finish. Okay, so I sanded it all up. You can see the sanding makes the edges just a little rough, and it brings out the wood in the background. So I personally like that look. I feel like it just creates the piece into being just a little bit more unique. So with that one done, I'm just going to take some of my twine and wrap some around it, see where we get. When I wrap around twine, I like to start from the back, add a little piece, Here's my tip for you new ones. Lick your finger before you touch the hot glue gun. I got paint and yikes all over it, but I don't care. So, lick your finger. It won't stick. It cools off the hot glue much better. And just kind of go for it. Okay, and I like that. Before I cut the end, I'm going to hot glue it. Again, lick your finger, press it down. And I also like to hot glue the other strands so they won't move either. Okay, now I can cut my end piece. Voila! And that piece is done. Okay, now I'm going to put hot glue on my wood and then hold my floral to it. Also, if you rub your tip of the glue gun off on whatever you're doing, you won't have strings. That kind of prevents any stringage, which those hot glue gun strings are terrible. So I'm just holding that down nicely. And then I also will wrap twine similarly to what I just did there. If you have ribbon, you can make one of those fun bows. I know previous subscribers, you guys will have leftover ribbon from other months that, or not ribbon, but burlap. Burlap would be awesome with this as well. So there, that is glued. And then I'm gonna set it up on there so it doesn't crash my flower. I think I'm gonna go at an angle like that. So I'm gonna start on the back again. Easy way to do that. Dab of hot glue. Once you cool it with your finger too, like you're game on. Like you don't have to wait forever for it to set either. Finished. Okay, before I cut it, I'm going to glue again. Then I'm also going to put some hot glue on the additional strands so they stay in place. If you put them at a really crazy angle on the sides, they could slip, so it's smart to kind of tack those there if they're slipping at all. But here you can just cut your twine off. And voila, there's that one. Kind of bend this floral to fit around it. And my last piece is to take apart the sign, which is probably dry. It only took about 15 minutes or so. I'm gonna do one last final sand on that, just to get the finish I like. It's moving a little bit, so let it dry pretty good, but I'm rushing things here. But I'm gonna be real careful while I sand. All finished, and there is our finished January project. I can't wait to see how you guys have chosen to style yours and even change colors. Totally open to anything that you have, and this will be really fun to see your creativeness come out. So join us next time where we get to explore the world. And for those of you who've been waiting and know what I'm talking about when I say that, you are going to love February. Come back. See you soon. Bye.